So tell me about this, how they found you in Chat GPT or
Well, the guy,
Nancy?
I had an email last night at about 7:30, and it was through my website. And in the body of the email, like he gave me his phone number, his email address, and the property specifically that he was looking at. And it said in the body that he found me on Chat GPT, and I'm just like, hmm. So I thought it was kind of a scam for sure. So I responded. Well, then I talked to a couple of people that know about that. And then I responded, and this morning, sure enough, like he's legit. Like he sent me an email this morning that I have to follow up on after the meeting. So he's good. But that's how I found
Good.
him. But then
Yeah.
I was mentioning before you came in the room that some of the information is pretty old because I tried doing it myself, and Louisa Moffat was the first person that came up.
It's okay. There's still stuff on me from 25 years ago on the internet. So
You can't hide.
what can I tell you? Good. Okay. So how was the activity despite all the snow and heavy flooding up there?
Um, the flooding is starting to subside, which is nice. Roads are starting to be reopened, which is nice. Um,
Okay.
but I'm starting to get very busy. I have a to-do list the size of my arm right now.
Okay. Great. That's good.
Yeah, definitely getting busier up here. 3 phone calls yesterday from other realtors looking for a referral partner. I'm like, wow, it's a good day.
Okay.
See if they pan out the
Yeah.
listing.
So people coming from the GTA, looking at moving up, people moving down, downsizing, or are they actually looking at investing in secondary properties?
A little bit of both, or all
Yeah.
three.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think for me primarily it's secondary, the ones
Okay.
that I'm dealing with.
Okay. Good. Um, who else? What other activity have you seen over the last week? Anybody seen any changes? Okay. Gonna share a bit of
Yeah,
stuff.
Scott. Ooh, Jesus.
Okay. Who is?
I think Austin, do you want to go?
Sure. Buyers finally coming out of the woodwork. I mean, at least up here because our weather is finally getting nicer.
Yeah. And that's what we sort of talked about the last few weeks, where we saw, a month ago we started activity, right? We started seeing activity in Toronto, and then just last week I talked to a couple agents who are just outside of Toronto, and all of a sudden they're started seeing activity. I was showing houses on Saturday in Stony Creek, so Hamilton, Stony Creek area. Talking to the agents there, they said it had been very, very quiet except for the last 10 days when I started showing. And then from Saturday morning, I was in Stony Creek. Saturday afternoon, I was showing in Kitchener. Every place I showed in Kitchener between 599 and 699, all out of six of them, four of them were holding off offers until Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Three of them have already sold. I've just registered an offer on a property now. So what's interesting about that is these are all buyers that have been sitting on the fence waiting, right? Mine's a first-time home buyer. And again, the same question was, are we at the bottom yet? I said, well, you were looking back in October, and not with me, with somebody else. Um, and I said, so what happened back then? He said, I just, it was not a good experience with the agent, so I just stopped looking. And I said, great. Well, he actually connected with me because his parents helped them move 26 years ago. They got my newsletter. I remember I already shared this. They got my newsletter, my printed mailed newsletter. Dad went on to the website. I saw Dad, got a notification that Dad went on to the website. Hey, Peter, how you doing? What's going on? Oh, my son's thinking about buying. I said, great, give him my information. Here's, you tell him just log on to my website and Sure enough, he reached out, we chatted, took them out, showed them 6 houses and put an offer in on 1. So moral of the story is hard printed mailed newsletters still work. That's number 1. Number 2, the market is busy. They're not printing about it yet, except if anybody is registered and receives notification from REM magazine. And I've got a good friend of mine that owns the Realty Executives brokerage in Saskatchewan and Saskatoon. Majority of their listings are having 25 and 30 offers on each listing. So if you tell me the Canadian economy is not working and everybody's unsure, that is an area where they really rely on manufacturing. They rely on, obviously, a lot of fertilization, things like that. They are booming. They have shortage of listings. Sellers are afraid to put their houses on the market because they have nowhere to go. Now, all of a sudden, we're going to get, oh, the number of unit sales in Canada had spiked in April. Well, they're not going to get that until May. So make sure you're, doing what you need to be doing to let the consumers know, right? Like, this is what's going on. Just say to them, look, all you got to do is drive around and see how many more sold signs there are. So that's why, even at our event, I was saying, like, you have to be on top of it, you have to be communicating all the time. Okay. Any other thoughts on that? Like, what else is, is everybody seeing this? Are you starting, again, it's that momentum, right? There's momentum going, and we haven't even hit the good weather yet. So.
Yeah, Scott, it's Hunter. I had a open house on Sunday, and I scheduled Sunday because it was supposed to be nicer than Saturday. Well, of course, we get snow throughout the full term of the open house. But I had 9 visitors, and quite often you had a shutout in this neighborhood. So, they're tire kickers to a degree, but they were there.
Yeah.
So it helped.
Well, and the only, understand too, like out of those 9, even if you got information on 1 or 2 of them and you can keep in touch with them, they may not do anything for a year or 2, right? But that's all you're doing is sitting on the open houses. What you're trying to do is add to your database, just communicate with people. I've had people that came through open houses of mine 5 years later, I did business with them, right? So that's great. Now, is that in the adult community, Hunter, where that was?
Yeah, it's I sold a property in there last week in 2 weeks, at sort of the top of the market. A bit of a fluke, I think. And then my challenger, which is Coldwell Banker Ronan Realty, listed a house a few days before mine firmed up. I was getting awful nervous for $100,000 less and the same house. But, that's just an uneducated agent. But yeah, so I sold that one very quickly. I didn't do an open house there. I did it at one of my lingering listings out there, but it's picked up a bit, but it's been it's really been a deathly slow market because those are people at the end of their purchasing careers. They're being very cautious. They're retiring and they're downsizing. So there's not a big uptick for them selling their Vaughan home at a $500,000 loss in their mind and downsizing for $100,000 savings with the market shift, right? So if you're, as you know, if you're moving up, you're saving money. If you're moving down, they feel they're losing money. So it's really slowed the market down there. But that's okay. I mean, there's not a lot of these locations for people to go to.
No, that's great. Super. Okay. The other thing that is kind of interesting is, we talked about last week, we were talking about what do you do when you get someone, I think Julia was asking, where she's had some clients and people ask, are we at the bottom yet? Are we at the bottom yet? How do you answer that? The client I'm dealing with right now, the house we're putting the offer in on, I'm expecting it's going to sell between 680 and 700. The same house with a finished basement, updated, sold in November around same street, just around the corner for 685. And he's going, Well, if that one sold for 685 in November, shouldn't this one be less because it doesn't have a finished basement, original owner, not updated? I'm going, unfortunately, the market has changed. And that is, if someone's asking you and you want to be able to share that story, that's what's happened. This buyer has actually realized the market has changed. So it's really, and sometimes if you tell it to them, they don't believe it. You share a story about a third party or a situation you're aware of, even if you weren't involved in it, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, reality is this, right?
Do you not think it's a little bit of pent up demand, Scott?
Well, it is, right? And real estate is
a bubble.
just,
I'm saying a bit of a bubble. Sorry to cut you off.
I wouldn't say it's a bubble. I would say it's a normal spring market that we haven't seen for a while. Because we've had people that went through a long winter period. Like this has been a long winter. Like I can tell you that there were winter spring markets, let's call it, right? That spring market where February open houses would have 20 and 30 groups through because it was plus 15, the sun was shining, the grass was already out, right? So our early spring market. This year we've had, a bit of everything. We've had a long drawn out winter. We've had uncertainty with what's going on with just the economy in general. What's going on with this, the war. So there's been a lot of hesitation. So I will agree there's probably a bit more people that are sort of were sitting on the fence, Hunter, that are now that are sort of saying, okay, I'm not going to wait anymore. But I think, this may only, the momentum we have, usually in the spring markets when we saw it would go from early March to about mid-May. Because you had people that were looking at buying and wanting to close in June, July, or July, August. They want to close. So now what they're doing is they're going, okay, if I have to close in July, then let's back it up 90 days. So they're looking to buy, usually February, March are your first time buyers. So they buy something. Then you have your move up buyers that all of a sudden go, okay, we've sold our place. For instance, the one I'm doing the offer on, I asked the agent, what closing date does she need? Well, she's just starting to look. She's downsizing from living in Kitchener, moving to Stratford, but she hasn't found anything yet. She's just going to start looking. So can you give us 90 days? Right? That's sort of where the buyers and sellers are right now. So if we look at that 90-day period, so now guess what? I've got a closing date for July 24th. So that's why I'm looking and saying this is a normal spring market with a little bit more momentum happening now because people that were looking at buying in the fall didn't. Okay. So we're going to have a bit of momentum. And, Hunter, as you know, over the years, and anybody's been in it for a while, we usually see a little slowdown in activity during the summer months. People go to the cottage, people go, kids are off on different programs, and then they come back, and then September, October, we get a little more busier, and then slow down late November, December, January, and then it picks up again. That's our normal standard real estate market. Yeah, Nancy.
This question is actually for you and Elray. Do you think that what's going on in the US and the fact that I believe the stat was that I read, but don't quote me, 22% less Canadians are traveling to the US and it's actually starting to interfere with their tourism market? Do you think that people that are not traveling to the US are buying secondary properties up here? Elray, Scott.
I wouldn't say they're
actually.
I wouldn't think they're buying secondary properties necessarily. They may be renting, but like last summer, a lot of them are going other places. Like they can get on a plane and just leave and go and skip over the US. It's not like COVID where everything was closed. They had to stay in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's exactly the point. We do have people that I've talked with, friends of ours and other clients where they've actually booked Canadian summer trips this year, where normally they would have gone somewhere else. But for winter, they're actually skipping over the states. The Dominican, like it's been so busy in the Dominican this year with so many hotels that are just jam booked. That seemed to be the biggest destination because it's similar, it's a little bit longer flight, but it's straight down. But for secondary property, what I am understanding is some of them that are looking at buying the secondary properties are looking at it as a longer term, where they're saying, okay, if this is what's going to be happening in the States, then let's buy something here that the family will have somewhere to go to over several years, not just a short term. That's what I'm hearing and seeing. Anybody else? This could be a question for anybody.
Well, Austin, you should have an opinion on that.
So I find I'm just seeing a lot of people just asking for rentals up here for the summertime. I don't find that I'm getting a lot of people looking for the secondary homes. We have the same people kind of like from last year because we didn't really have a lot of waterfront activity up here last year, so it'll be interesting to see what this year is like. So yeah, like as Scott had mentioned, like I've heard a lot of people, even some friends of mine as well, doing cross Canada trips this summer.
Yeah. Which is, hey, that's good.
I think I heard that staycations in Canada last year were up a little under 10%, around 7 by memory.
Yeah. Good. That's okay. That's very okay. Okay, let's go let's go back to that conversation we were having last week about, are you getting more inquiries from your database or from people about, how does this if I buy new, what kind of credits am I going to get? Our new home prices now in my range because I get the rebate. Did anybody get that over the last week or so? I've had it twice just in this week from people that were buying resale. So just make sure you're aware of what, because it is something that you need to be aware of because there's opportunity there. Definitely some opportunity there.
I
Okay.
had some clients talk, Scott. I mean, the lady's looking for pre-construction because of that 130K, whatever, right? Saving, and she was asking, how does this work? But I said, yeah, and the builder I was talking to said it was already adjusted, right, in the price. I don't know how it's worded in the agreement of purchase and sale. I didn't look at that. But they said the price was adjusted accordingly, that whatever the rebate was, because the property price was only 400K, but it was adjusted already by the builder, right? So the lady was kind of thinking and getting inclined towards that, but then she was scared about FAR closing and things like that, right? So still unique situations, right? So
yeah, each builder is going to try and market it a different way. Builders I've talked with, and I may have mentioned this, they unfortunately don't have great experiences with any program that the CRA puts out for rebates. If it's just the standard agreement of purchase, new agreement of purchase and sale, where the buyers say that yes, we are going to be living in it, it's going to be our primary residence, so therefore the HST rebate would go back to the builder. That's standard, and that's been standard in the agreements of purchase and sale. This extra rebate is something that builders we've talked with have said, we're not going to guarantee the buyers that they can or can't get it, because there's a lot of individual factors that go into it. Do the actual buyers actually qualify for it? And if they do, then the other question is, are their taxes all up to date? Because CRA representative said, any type of rebate, the first thing coming off that rebate is any money they owe to the government. Simple. If they haven't filed, even if they don't owe money, but if they haven't filed their income tax returns, they're not entitled to the rebate until they completely file. So that's why a lot of the builders are going like the standard one that was always there, which they've been working with, and it's very anybody that's done a new construction from a builder, it just says in there that, you know, the builder, the buyers agree to assign any HST rebates from the government. That's pretty standard. This is different. So there are a lot of builders are basically saying, no, we're not, you know, we'll still stick with the original one, but anything over and above, they'll have to apply to the CRA themselves after closing. Okay. So just make sure that, you know, each builder, and you have to look at the individual agreement of purchase and sale as well. So really important that you get the lawyers to review it. Don't you make a decision on it. Don't you give them the advice. You just say, here's the agreement, take it to your lawyer, take it to your accountant, and just review it. Okay. If you do get one, send it to me. I'll read through it as well. But we don't want to give them the actual advice saying, yes, they're entitled to it. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Any new listings? Anybody get a new listing over last week? Okay.
Speaking of new builds, if anybody wants a piece of vacant condo land, I'll have that coming up in North Bay.
What do you got?
It is, I don't have the listing right in front of me.
Size-wise.
It's actually in a really nice area. It's in town. Your condo fees are pretty affordable, only $325, I believe, a month. Detached, a single family, slab on grade, or 1.5 story. You can build, so that's going to be listed at $80,000. HST included in.
Wow. Okay. And then when you say condo fee, so it's like a new condominium development for, so detached area, like a gated community, Austin, or is it just?
So it's just this one road in North Bay, where this developer had created a condo corporation. And so you have your own detached home. Your common elements is basically just the private road in from the municipal road. Okay. Your garbage and recycling collection. They also do cover the in-ground sprinkler systems, as well as snow removal and grass cutting of your front and backyard.
Okay. Yeah, so it's parcel of tied land then. Okay. So the deeded part is their actual lot, let's call it, which is theirs. Correct. They can fence, they can, right?
Yeah.
And then the rest, yeah. Okay. Good.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if it's 80,000 to buy that, any idea what it would cost to build the house?
I actually had clients of mine purchase in there. They bought it directly from the builder, and I believe their final purchase price was around $750.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Anybody else got a listing or had a sale? Any successes over the last week?
My Milton condo got leased.
Got leased? Okay.
Double-ended.
Oh, good.
What a mess. So much paperwork for it. Like I had to do the tenant representation and like almost a book.
A lot of paperwork.
Leased, yeah.
Okay, so good. Got leased.
And then remember I told you one of my very close friends got into a car, not car accident, but they got hit by a car.
Yeah.
So I'm hopefully listing their townhouse, which is a 3-story in Brampton. Okay. It's a POTL as well.
Right.
And they're coming to see on Friday via Rosedale, you know, gated community condos.
Yeah.
5 showings. I'm showing them Friday.
The one in Brampton?
Yeah.
Okay.
They live in Brampton too. Their townhouse is in Brampton near Goreway.
And they're in the road. They want to be in the Rosedale community?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have any
daughters are coming with them because they're the ones who are helping them at the hospital.
So if you have any questions about that community, Tina lives in that community.
Tina Klein?
Tina
Okay,
Klein, okay.
I've sold already a couple of places there
Yeah,
before.
so
Yeah.
it's a gated community
Very nice.
in Brampton, very, very famous one. And so they have a mixture of detached, they have a golf course, they have townhouses. So
As soon as you cross the gate, you're in Florida.
yeah,
That's how I
Yeah.
see
it's
it.
really,
Yeah.
It could be winter on this side, but there it's, even though it's winter. but
Yeah.
if you have any questions, Tina's lived in there for
Okay.
probably 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
and they golf, they participate in the event. So she'd be a good resource for
Yeah.
you.
And
For your
thank you.
client.
I didn't know. I
Okay.
thought she was still in Rexdale.
No, yeah. Good. I'm listing, we're getting a 3-bedroom bungalow detached in Nobleton. I had it before. Now she's finally just moved into her custom built house in Nobleton. So it'll be on at $1,495,000. She paid in the peak 1.7. So, we've definitely seen an adjustment in the area, but it really shows well. Easy to show. So if anybody works that area, if anybody wants to do open houses on it, let me know. It's always been a little bit of, is a really unique community. So if anybody's interested, just reach out to me. I should have that listed within a week or two. We're just finishing off the staging. And then we're good to go. Anything else? Yeah, Nance.
I had an interesting listing appointment. I was telling Tina about this the other day. We had a nice phone chat. This one's going to be probably about 2 or 3 weeks before I list it. And it's going to be the first listing in my career that I'm going to have to say that the chickens are negotiable and the goats are not. I don't think anybody did. Did you see my post of the goat?
That's too bad. I like chicken soup, but goats are cool.
Well, the goats are going. She's like, no, they're my babies. So I have to actually write it in there that the goats are not negotiable.
How many goats?
Wow.
There's got to be about maybe 9. Look, you can see some of them on my Facebook post. There's some little, what do you call them? Billies when they're babies?
Oh yeah.
No, they're kids when they're babies.
Are they kids?
Yeah, I saw your post. I was wondering what's up with the goats.
Yeah, that was a listing appointment.
Wow. Well, that's cool. That's different.
No land transportation.
It's okay. I can actually share an experience that I've never had in my 46 years of selling real estate. Showing houses in Stony Creek. I'm showing one for clients of mine from Toronto, and I got it booked noon hour. And they go, well, there's one across the street. Let's see if we can see that one too. Sure enough, I go to book it online, and this is a couple days beforehand. And they come back and they said, well, could you show it at 3? I said, no, we're coming from Toronto, young family with kids. We're looking at the one across the street. And so if that doesn't work, that's okay, no worries. Then sure enough, they come back and say, no, you're good to go. You can go. Okay. I didn't think anything of it. We're showing the one across the street we have the appointment for, and it's newer community, and we're looking around going, God, this community have lots of people, lots of cars. What the heck is going on here? Where are all these cars, right? Yeah. Go to walk across the street, knock on the door. They open the door and they say, oh, I'm here for the showing. Oh, great, come on in. There are 16 ladies around a big square table, and it's a Botox party.
Oh, gee, that's why they didn't want you to come at that time.
Can honestly say, never had that. And they got all kinds of treats on the table. You want some cookies? You want this? You want that?
Botox.
There's a lady getting the injections ready. They've got their hair pulled back. And here I'm showing the house.
You do look different.
So, well, there you go. You
had a shot.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't feel awkward at all about that, right?
No, it's fine. That was great. But there you go. That's a motivated seller.
Yeah.
Absolutely, you can come through. So I have to share that because it was kind of funny because my clients and I, we all looked at each other and went, now we know where all the cars are for.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then even on the way out, take some treats. You want any, you guys want any,
Very
you want to
good.
sit and have some work done? And no, I think we're good. We're good. So there you go. Hey, every day is a different experience in this industry. So much fun. So what else? Okay. How many people are you talking to that are looking at doing something? What's going on your database? How many A's, B's, and C's do you have? Now I'm getting serious because this is what you need to be working on. I have 15 in the works right now. And it's because I started talking to people about buying and selling. And that's what I say. Michelle and I are really doubled down between us. We have about 15 people that are possibilities this year. So are you working your numbers? Yeah, Nance, you're always really good at tracking. So share with us.
I have 12.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no,
Good.
that's not true. No, because these are both going to be listings, so that's 14.
Okay. Super. Okay. That's what you have to look at. You have to always look at what is in my, my downline, my pipeline, and because that's going to be your future income, right? And if it's a small number, then I hate to tell you this, your income is going to be a small number, unless you're working on two massive deals that are big commissions, which usually take a long time. So you really have to focus on making sure you're doing your daily and weekly activities. And I know I keep harping on it, but I know that's how this industry works, right? You have to monitor how many people, like we talked about before, your auto flow, is that going out? How many things a month are you putting out, right? And then your live flow, how many people are you meeting with? How many conversations are you having? How are you pushing along those conversations with real verbiage, not text? Yeah, text is okay, but it has to be both ways, right? It has to be communication. And I know I harp on it, but I know that's what works. Okay. So you really need to track it. And I know earlier in the year when we were sort of trying to get commitments from people on how many people that they were going to yak to and talk to. And each week you were going to share it. I think you had a little bit more commitment to it because there was some accountability. Okay, got him? Yeah, you want to share, chat?
Yeah, I mean, I've got about 5 or 6 people actively I'm talking to, kind of thing. So in the kind of buying space, home buying space. So they're all first time home buyers, but again, educating, working through some, pushing them through mortgage approvals and stuff like that to figure out numbers. Some we've got buyer representation agreement signed, some kind of talking to them, on daily basis, every second, third day, days, staying in touch type of thing and telling them what's going on in the market, right? So keeping them warm and kind of moving them to next step for one step at a time, like not rushing them, but I guess at least educating them, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Ultimately,
And that's
still theirs, right?
Yeah. And that's the important part because not all of them are going to work out, right?
Sure.
These are just the numbers we have. I'm looking at it and going, okay, I think there's 5 or 6 that are, guaranteed because I know they're buying and selling. But the other ones are conversations. They're, interested, they're thinking about it, could be longer term. So that's why you have to really look at what numbers are you working with because not all of them are going to be transactions. Okay, Tommy?
Hi, Scott.
Tommy, you may. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you, okay, so in answer to your question, I have about 12 possibilities.
Okay.
I would say 13, but I've been ghosted by that person. I can't get a hold of that person anymore. Try calling her, sent her text. You would know her because you showed her Mina. You would know her because you met her. Remember, I was in the hospital and asked you if I could if you could do that big favor, which you did. I don't know what happened to. I kind of know what happened. I think I I think she got frustrated, right? Because she looked at a house, and we just one sec. I just gotta put something away. Okay. Thanks. She looked at a house or a couple of houses, and she sees it for like 799 or 699. And I told her that those are fake asking prices. The seller's gonna want more, and she wants a detached, kind of a large detached. Maybe like 1,000 square feet, 2 kitchens. She wants a fully complete basement with the kitchen for $750,000 in Toronto. And you're not going to get that in Toronto, right? You have to spend at least 900,000 to $1 million, depending on where the house is. Even if it's in like Rexdale or Keels, that neck of the woods. So I don't know what to do with her.
I can tell you what to do with her. Take her right off your database. It's as simple as don't waste your time or your energy on her. Because I know when I chatted with her, same thing. It was like she's unrealistic. There's multiple families that are trying to involved and trying to make that happen. Couldn't get the financing originally. So my suggestion is take her right off the list or put her down as a C or D, send out the odd stuff to her. If she comes back, great. Concentrate on the ones that you're having conversations with and move them along. Simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, right
I would
now,
say,
yeah, I think that right. I mean, you're right. She's not being realistic. And I told her, well, why don't you go to Barrie? I mean, Tottenham, they're great places in the Durham region. Oh no, I don't want to live that far. I got to think about my daughter. My daughter's going to York University. So she wants to live near that area, especially like York University neighborhood. But I remember sending her sold listings, and then I remember sending her listings that are available, and she told me that it's way out of my price range, Tommy. And I told her, well, I'm trying to press upon you what you really have to put out in order to buy a place that you want to buy. So I told her, why don't you look at a townhome or a condo? Oh no, I don't want a condo. No, I live in an apartment building right now. I don't want a condo.
Yeah. So Tommy, again,
Yeah,
like just
I'm trying.
take her off. No, don't worry. She's not buying. She's not buying. So move on to the other people on your list. Work with the ones that are ready and want to do something and are qualified to do something. Okay. That's for anybody on here. You can run around with, that's why it's always important to make sure that you get them qualified, right? Qualified for what is it they're looking for, what are their needs, and what can they actually afford. Okay. It's an easy business to run around with people that we're hoping are going to eventually do something. So when you are actually doing consistent prospecting, consistently adding to your database, then it's easier to kick some people to the street and wish them well and move on to the ones that you have. But if you're not consistently adding to your database, not consistently adding new prospects, then it becomes a hope that they might do something. Not a great way to do the business. But Tommy, that's great that you've got, 12 other people that you need to focus on. Forget this one. Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
I had the similar experience. One of my first client I got under the buyer rep agreement. First time getting a buyer rep signed. Had that thing signed for a year. That she's not going to buy. She's really not. You told me that like 3 months into the contract. She's not going to buy. She's fully qualified. She can afford to buy by herself. She's owned property before. It's the mental game. She's not there. And that was hard because I went through the whole qualifying process. She knows how to buy, like she knows all of that. And then it was, well, maybe I should just lease for another year. Let's find some leases. And to this day, like I still check in every once in a while, but I've had friends from other companies. One of my friends from Sotheby's, her and I were chatting, and she's like, Michelle, you got to stop putting time in because it's not happening. And yeah, that was harder to realize because I was like, no, we were almost there. Like we saw a property like 3 times. She's ready. No, she's not. But that also comes with, I think, experience in working with buyers and seeing all the different emotional tolls buyers kind of take on properties.
Yeah. And she will get there eventually, so keep in touch with her. But to spend 100% of your energy on that one particular client doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's for anybody, right? We all get into that where you start running around with a prospect that seems hot, and you forget about the regular daily and weekly activities that you have to do to be able to move that transaction, move another transaction, right? So just keep that in mind, that you have to keep moving forward, but don't forget about your daily and weekly tasks that keep that momentum going. Okay. Anything else? Time is it?
Okay.
I may have to end a little bit early because I've got by 11 o'clock. I have to double check and see how many offers are on here, if I have to improve my offer or not. So, I actually, one of the things I will share is I'm seeing some high-rise condos selling. So price is everything, but recently, and even in Mississauga here, I had one of my buddies, Jeff Atkinson, and he asked me about his listing, and I gave him a couple things to change on it. They canceled, relisted it, and it had been on the market for a while. Canceled, relisted it, just adjusted the price a little bit, sold 3 days after it came up. And that was just last week. And he goes, where have these people been for 6 months? Well, refresh your listings, right? Make sure you refresh. Because what happens when you do the refresh, any of their auto searches will pick it up again, right? Not only the consumer, but the realtors. So if you've got a bit of a stale listing, take some new photos, make sure your photos are up to date, make sure, with your listings that it's current. And then just keep building that momentum on it. But I am seeing and hearing about some condos selling, so. Anything else? Okay, who's going to have a transaction between now and next week? I am, so I don't know about anybody else. Okay.
1, 2.
All right. And why is nobody else putting their hand up? Okay.
Because I just did one.
There you go.
I just finished one. I wish I had waited 2 days so I could have told you. Sorry.
No. Good job. We'll take that one. We'll take that one. That's a good one. And again, all you got to look at, okay, between now and next week, just set a goal. You're either going to get a listing or at least do a couple listing presentations or sign up a new buyer. Okay. That's as good as at least heading towards a transaction.
A lot to be said for coffee chats.
Yeah. Right. Lots of conversations lead. Yeah, Nance.
And the other thing, I mean, it's sort of off topic, but when you say sign up buyers, make sure you sign them up. I mentioned this to you last year, like quite a while ago, a good piece ago. I was working with I sold them a cottage like 3 years ago, ran all over the edges of the universe for them. They walked into an open house and got convinced to buy from the listing agent, and I lost them. And they bought for like $750. My bad.
Yep.
My bad. But let it be known, sign them.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Any other?
Tomorrow we have a Zoom session with Stonegate legal professional. They did a presentation with us previously. Tomorrow they're going to be talking about listing and selling tenanted properties that's something you're interested in. It's really good information. And then forewarning for anyone that is with Realty Executives Plus, May will be our biannual FinTrack mandatory training. So that will be coming out soon. Please understand that that will be mandatory training. So those will be dates that I'm going to try and get out as soon as possible so you can clear your calendars, but thought I'd give you some forewarning.
Is it in person or Zoom?
It will be all online, so
It'll be all
everyone can
online.
join.
And FinTrack is nasty now.
They're so mean.
They have literally changed everything as of March 26th. They have fines that, originally were $1,000. They're now $40,000. There's no warnings. They have in the GTA here, they did a lot of concentration in BC because there was just none of the brokers were doing anything. Here in the GTA, it is now where companies, like good, strong, properly managed companies, got fined one was over $250,000. And yet they were doing the basic stuff. So really, really important that that's why we implemented FinTracker. Okay.
So that's still active,
That
Yeah.
FinTracker is
Yeah.
mandatory because it does some follow-up stuff. And two, why it's important that we do these FinTracker updates and training sessions, that you have to be able to sign in and sign out, and we can show that you were there. Because they are not giving warnings anymore. They're just going, it's been out, you're aware of it, it needs to be done. So.
I know a few agents who are with another company, they're still doing forms.
Yeah.
FinTrack. I said, you guys are not doing this app? What app?
Yeah.
I didn't even know about it.
Oh, we do know people that are training on the FinTracker thing, and the amount of pushback they're getting from agents going, we don't need to do this. The government should be doing this. The lawyers do this. Well, unfortunately, as a broker of record and the owner of the company, we're going to follow what we can to make sure your backsides and mine are protected. And that is the FinTracker. That helps. That's not the end all be all. There's other stuff that we have to do as well. Yeah. Julia, you had a comment or question?
What are the fines mostly surrounding? Is it just not doing the forms or doing them wrong, or I'm just curious.
A lot. Yeah, the majority of the fines is for incomplete or not proper follow-up, because you're supposed to follow up with your clients' information, their information on terrorist lists, anti-money laundering lists, to ensure that they have not become a susceptible person to anything illegal. And with FinTracker, that's why we use the app, because we pay as a brokerage for them to access all those lists, the terrorist lists, anti-money laundering, to assess that your clients are never a part of that in the 5 years that the government mandates we do that for.
Yeah, the other fines where they're, and this is why we got to make sure we really jump on this training and let everybody understand. FinTrack, they were actually, when they do their audits, they were putting out, how would we put this? They were putting out questionnaires to they would just randomly pick agents in the company and send questionnaires to them without letting the broker know. And they had to answer the questions on what do they understand to be their brokerage's FinTrack regime? Who's the compliance officer? How do you process your transactions? When is this? And the answers they were getting back were so random. The FinTracker basically came in and said, yeah, you may be doing your training, you may be doing your forms, but it's not an actual regime.
Yeah, like your agents don't understand, so how could this possibly be a program that you use? Here's a giant fine.
And one of the companies that got that fine has over 6,000 agents. I can't say the name, but you guys figure it out. So that's why it's important. And I understand the pushback. Yeah, Nancy.
Is that mandatory for people with a parked license?
It's mandatory with anybody that is registered. Because if you're registered with RICO, you have the ability to do a transaction. If your license is parked and you're not part of a board, doesn't mean you can't do a transaction. So if you are still licensed and you can represent a consumer in a transaction, you need to understand the FinTrack.
Okay, and everybody knows what I'm referring to there.
Yeah.
And that Fin Tracker, Michelle, don't fall off your chair. It's actually really easy to use.
Yeah, when it
There
works.
she goes.
I know.
It's really easy, guys, and it is very secure. It is not something that I just picked up out of a back alley. It is something that the Canadian Real Estate Association has actually recommended that we use. Now, I feel like I am preaching to the wrong people because I feel like everyone on this call uses it, but it is super easy, and we are trying to save you guys.
Yeah.
So,
Tommy, one more question before we go.
Yeah, make it quick. So when I was handing my paperwork, right? Because I helped someone buy a place in Richmond Hill. So initially I handed in the forms, 640, 645, 630, those forms. And then Nadia got back to me and said that these forms need to be done on FinTrack. So when I went on FinTrack, right, I only saw 2 separate forms that you have to fill out. Is that correct?
Tommy, you and I can have a one-on-one about this, and I'll show you where to go and what to look for. But all the forms that you need to comply with the FinTrack requirements are on the FinTracker form.
Some are combined.
Yeah, some are combined. But once you complete all the information, all your paperwork is ready to go. So you and I can definitely have a conversation about that.
Okay, because I handed what I could hand in to Nadia. So, yeah, I just want to make sure that.
I'll follow up
I
with
did
her and I'll
correctly.
get back.
Yeah, once you do it a few times, then it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It won't submit unless it's complete.
Right.
Yeah, so
you'll know if something missed.
exactly. And
Highlight it.
Nadia goes through everything. We get called if there's any type of any information missing, or I think he's off the call now, but like Gotham had one where a client's name came in, and I may have told the story already. The client's name was the same name as a prisoner that had absconded from jail in New York State. But it wasn't the same person, but we had to do a lot more research just to clarify that and print that information and put it in the file. Yes, Nancy.
I was going to ask Herbert this, but you meet a client, they're putting an offer in. You do the FinTrack stuff, it asks what property address they're buying. That deal falls apart. They're going to another one. So now that address is incorrect, but you still have all of their information.
Yep.
Do you have to go through it all again?
There's a copy and edit button at the top of your submitted forms on FinTracker. And you can change the transaction property address, but understand if any of that information has changed, you need to change it.
Okay. All right. I got to scoot to work on this offer. I'm assuming I'm going to have multiples there. So got to go write a story about my buyer.
Good luck.
So, thanks. All right. Good to see everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Catch up again soon.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Let me just go check mine.